Hello everyone. Now we will do what exactly a floating action button is. Now before we talk about floating action button, I think it's important I show you what exactly a floating action button is. I prepared a new project in Android Studio and went to I made a basic activity or blank activity. I did not make an empty activity. I made a basic or blank. Depending upon the version of Android that you're using, Android Studio, you will have it as either basic or blank activity. Now, as we know that in a basic activity or a blank activity, we have two layouts which are to our disposal. One is activity underscore main and another one is content underscore main. I am going to show you activity underscore main because content underscore main is something which is very similar to what you have in a empty activity, right? So talking about activity underscore main, you can see that there are different widgets inside it. And there is one more thing which is given here, that is floating action button. Floating action button is nothing but this button that you can see here, the pink button with a mail icon in this, right? This is floating action button which can be activated to be utilized for different actions. In this tutorial we will be seeing only the one usage of floating action button, and that is we will get it connected to a toast message. When you make this activity, when you make the blank activity or basic activity, you get to see that it is already there associated with some kind of action. We will change that action so that we learn how to exactly handle a floating action button. Although I'm sure this lecture is going to be very straightforward for you guys. I have not made any changes in this lecture, in this activity till now. You can see that there is main activity, extends app compact activity. Let us not touch anything of this, and I will just want you to look at this. This is a floating action button and a fab button has been called. We made an object of floating action button and it is being defined with the help of this id r.id.fab. We go to r.id.fab and we see that this is the id here, right? Back here you can see that I have put a set on, not I, the Android Studio put a set on click listener here, and here you can see that public void on click view snack bar. Snack bar is something which we will deal with later, not right now, because there are a lot of other functionalities which are associated with it. If you are really interested or curious to know it right now, you can go ahead and just run this app. Whatever it is that you get on your screen in your device, you click on the button, the floating action button, and whatever appears on the screen, you can call that as snack bar. That will be the snack bar, right? So but in this tutorial we will not design any snack bar. Instead I will just put a toast message here, and here I will write I am floating action button. All right, so now whenever I click on this button, I will be able to receive a toast message here which will say I am a floating action button, right? So I just wanted to show you how can you start handling the floating action button. This is pretty straightforward. There's nothing new in this. We will deal with snack bar and a lot of other stuff later, but for now you can start using floating action button if you want. A piece of advice from my end would be that don't because floating action button looks very fancy and very it's a very different set of button you have. It's elevated from the normal the screen. It looks elevated. So don't just put all the buttons as floating action button only, because the very intent or the actual purpose of floating action button is to keep just single button, so that it signifies some kind of purpose which is very prominent for that screen. So for example, if I were to put a lot of components in a list in this activity, and you are scrolling through the list, and every time you click on one of the components you want floating action button to appear, right? So floating action button will appear only when there is something particular to be done or something which is very common to all the components of the screen, right? And that is why it is elevated. It has got little different lookout and feel. So in case you put 10 floating action buttons, then the very intent of having a floating action button goes away, right? So don't put floating action buttons wherever you want them to be put. Be judicious. My why I'm advising this you is because as a developer you might get excited and you want to put 10 floating action buttons, but as a designer or as a developer who wants to design apps which are pleasingly aesthetically pleasing, right? So you don't want to create an app which has got 10 floating action buttons and it does not look good, right? So this was just a piece of advice and I hope you agree to this. And now we will go to now if I run the app, then you can see that the toast will appear. I will run it eventually, but before that I also want to discuss a little bit about this floating action button widget, right? This is something which you get ready made, and as you can see that this layout has a layout gravity bottom and at the same time end, right? And that's why you see that it is bottom and end, right? Can we change this? Let's try changing this. So if I were to change end to, let's say, start, yes, the button which was here has now reached here. Now rest everything is very self-explanatory, but I will still do some experiments so that you keep understanding what is it that I'm doing. So what I did here was that there was this layout for layout margin. The Android takes a reference from the values folder here, and if you go to values folder here, in this you have an XML which tells us the dimensions. These are the dimensions. If I click on dimens.xml, you get to see there are some DPs, numbers in with DPs mentioned here, which you can call wherever you want to. This is very similar to the strings file that you have for writing down anything which you're going to use time and again, right? So the intent of this is that let's say, and this is something which as a developer you might not appreciate, but as a designer you would love it, that let's say you make an app which wherein you want to have some kind of discipline in your entire design, right? So you want to make sure that any button that you place on your screen, it has to have at least some kind of margin from the edge of the screen, right? You don't want your the overall lookout of the app should have some kind of basic thing, right? So at that, to ensure that, what you can do is you can define certain dimensions here, like they have done activity underscore vertical underscore margin, and put a number to it, whatever number you think is right or the designer thinks is right, and then wherever you want to utilize this thing you can utilize it, right? So like here also fab margin has been defined as 16 dp. So what we can do is we can put this as let's make it 36 dp and see what happens there. If you observed, this thing moved a little bit to this, right? I can also show you how to exactly, how can I change this thing. So I clicked on the floating action button here, and you can see that the different attributes or the properties of the attributes are showing up here, right? And I can make any changes that I want to make change here. So this is another way to start handling your assets or your attributes if you're really you don't want to type every time. So this is another way, but the recommended way is that you first learn how to do it in text, and then you start utilizing these facilities which are given by Android Studio, because otherwise text is something which stays everywhere. So if today you are doing it through Android Studio, great. If you're using an Eclipse, great. Anywhere the knowing the how to type an XML in a notepad or in any environment will help you. But if you keep waiting for such features, then it might take you time to work on your projects if you don't know the environment properly, right? So this is what it is. And now let me also go and show you how you can make other changes. Let's say you don't want the drawable, which is, that you see there, you don't want that image to show, right? You have something else in your mind. So right now what is happening is we are making use of this src compat library resource, which is available through Android. You can see that add Android is mentioned, and then there is drawable slash IC dialog email, right? So this is something which got imported when you decided to start a basic activity or blank activity, and this is the place from where you are getting, this icon. So what if you wanted this to have some other icon? Then what you need to do is go to this and change this to Android colon src, and instead of the Android reference, you can give an ID here. Now we don't have an ID for a drawable here, and for, just for demonstration purpose, I can also make use of the images in the MIP map. This MIP map is something which we will discuss later. For time being, you can, in fact, that is all it is. That MIP map is basically used to store anything which is going to get utilized in different dimensions or different resolutions. You will put images here, like if you when you download or when you start working on an app, you will see that there are different images here which are all same but with different resolutions. So this is the icon which is getting utilized whenever you want to launch the app. So this is called the launcher icon, right? So we need to have different resolutions for launcher icon, especially because ultimately when the user, is going to uh, utilize your app through their mobile device, your icon should show perfectly fine, right? So we have these different icons there. So I'm going to make use of one of these icons only. Yeah. And now I can check how is it looking. Yeah, so you can see that mail icon has got replaced, and we have this Android icon here. And just for, fun, I will also change the color, because right now it's looking very pink, and pink is not the great color to have all the time. So we will go and change it to some other color, and for that I will go and I will have to change the for this demonstration I will change this color, because pink gets fetched from the values folder in a color XML. So what I will do is I will make this color as something else. Yeah, let's keep this color. It was a random color that I chose. Now let's see how does it look. Oh, where is it? Yeah, so now you have yellow background, and then you have this icon. Now I will run this app on my mobile device and show you the toast message.